Oh, what's that? Oh, don't mind me. I'm just loading some firewood on my Honda Trail 125 here. Maybe head out to the cabin in the woods later, you know, have a nice fire, get ready for winter. Hello everyone and welcome to Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Two quick favors that I have. One is that if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And two, whenever you're shopping for stuff, please use my affiliate links. It really helps out. All right, today we're going to review the Honda Trail 125. Let me tell you a story that takes us all the way back to the year 1998. So believe it or not, in 1998, I was in middle school at the time, and I was kind of the nerdy, overweight computer game kid. I spent most of my spare time in my bedroom playing whatever the latest computer game was and doing stuff like that. I wasn't the most outdoor or athletic kid. However, while rummaging through my aunt and uncle's garage, and who knows if I even had their permission to do that, but somehow I was doing that, things that kids do, I found an old motorcycle covered in probably 30 years of dirt and cobwebs sitting in the corner. So slowly, with the help of my parents, who frankly really couldn't afford to do stuff like this, but they helped anyway because they're amazing parents, we slowly brought the old bike back to life. The bike actually was a old Honda C70 Passport, which was a version of the Honda Super Cub, and the Super Cub was the best-selling vehicle of all time. So what we did was, because we lived in the country and there was dirt roads everywhere, and that's where I wanted to explore, we actually put knobby tires on the bike. We took off some of the plastic fairings, and we made it capable of navigating all the dirt roads and trails around my house. And I didn't know any better. I was in middle school. To me, it was a dirt bike, it was a motorcycle, whatever it was what I had. It was a 3-speed automatic clutch, just like this bike, although now we've got 4 speeds, and it really reminds me of this, actually. So I spent the next couple of years banging around the backside of my neighborhood and the countryside where I lived on that C70 Passport with the off-road tires, and that was the beginning of my journey into my two-wheel obsession that I have today. Now, this is the new Honda Trail 125, and it's a modern interpretation of a classic motorcycle. So the story of the Trail 125 is eerily similar to my story with my old Honda Passport. So the story of how the Honda Trail got started, and a lot of you have heard this already, and there's some great content and articles out there, some of which I'll probably link down below. But a guy named Herb Uhl, he had a Honda motorcycle dealership in Boise, Idaho, and Honda had the Super Cub, which was a road-going bike. But what Herb did, he couldn't sell the Super Cubs because people wanted to go in the mountains and to their farms and stuff, not on the street with it. So he started modifying them by putting on different tires and I guess probably changing the gearing and taking some of the plastics off. He sold a lot of them, and when Honda Japan found out about this, they're like, okay, we'll just make a trail version and sell it, and we'll make the money from it. And that's what they did. And so around 1961, the Honda Trail was born. So today we're going to review the modern interpretation of the Trail 125. See you later. Huge shout out to Law Tigers for sponsoring today's video. If you're looking for a trusted motorcycle accident lawyer, Law Tigers is for you. They are America's premier network of motorcycle injury attorneys with over 30 years of experience and more than $1 billion recovered for motorcycle riders nationwide. They understand motorcycle crashes because they ride too. Their dedicated lawyers fight insurance companies to get you the compensation you deserve, and there's no upfront fees unless they win. So get in touch with Law Tigers for a free case evaluation and get peace of mind knowing you have America's most trusted motorcycle accident lawyers by your side. Thanks again to Law Tigers for sponsoring this video. All right, specs and features of the Trail 125. So this bike costs $4,099, so $4,100 plus you know, your freight tax, all that kind of dealer fees and stuff that everybody hates. So it's actually the most expensive of the Honda Mini Motos. And there's probably reasons for that due to the equipment or just maybe the smaller production volume. I'm not really sure, but it is more expensive than like a Grom or a Monkey or a Dax or those bikes. It weighs 256 pounds or 116 kilograms. That's with the fuel full. So speaking of fuel, what you have is fuel under the tank here. I'll show you that in a second. Is 1.4 gallons or 5.3 liters, but you get such incredible fuel economy that sounds like a small amount of gas, but on a bike like this, that goes a long time because the bike gets like, I don't know, 100 and something miles a gallon. So the engine on this bike is a 125cc air-cooled, just little hard-working little Honda engine that'll probably run forever. It's around, you know, 9 horsepower and around 9 foot-pounds of torque, or about 12 newton meters of torque. And, you know, if you dyno these, it's probably like 7 or 8 horsepower due to the losses, but, you know, you don't have a whole lot of power. Speaking of power, I've got this in the highway riding segment, but top speed is, you know, anywhere between 50 miles an hour to 65 miles an hour, depending on if you're going uphill or downhill and if there's a wind that day. So it really depends on what you're doing. But on flat ground, you know, 55 is about the top speed, or about 88 kilometers an hour. The transmission on the bike, you can see, well, no, sorry. You know, you've got the heel toe shifter here, and it's a 4-speed, but its neutral is down at the bottom, and then you have 4 up, but it's an automatic clutch. So you can see there's no clutch lever, and you shift by just using the shift lever there to go through the gears. And when you take off, it's really smooth because it's got that centrifugal clutch, so it's really smooth to take off. Now, it does not have, you know, the low range or the dual range gearbox that the old Trail 125s used to have, which made them such good mountain climbers. You don't have that, which is a bit disappointing, but I think Honda knows that people are really not going to take these on like crazy mountain trails, so they're not giving you that low range anymore for that super low speed, you know, crawling ability. Seat height on the bike is 31.5 inches or 800 millimeters, pretty low. And then suspension travel, you do have not a whole lot, but you've got 4.3 inches or about 110 millimeters in the front. And then in the back, you've got 3.4 inches, and you can see the dual shocks here, or about 86 millimeters or 3.4 inches here in the back. And then you do have disc brakes. So unlike the old bikes, you know, in the old days, now you actually have some pretty good stopping power. They're small discs, but if you look at it, you've got a 2-piston caliper there, and at least you don't have drum brakes. So you have front ABS, and the rear does not have ABS. So you can slide the back brake if you get too aggressive with that. And then your tire sizes, so they're 17-inch wheels. They look bigger than that for some reason, but it's just because the bike is small. But yeah, they're 17-inch and they're 80/90. That's the size. They're 80/90, so they're kind of an interesting size. Now, if I walk you around the bike, you know, we kind of talked through about all this, but you could see the fender here, the round headlight, just cool little details. You do get LED turn signals, which are nice. You've got this kind of, I don't know if it's technically part of the frame, but this component here that kind of protects your engine. And it's kind of nice to have that bar. And then of course you've got a Kickstarter, which I showed in another segment, which is cool to have. That folds up like that. You've got the high exhaust, which is kind of the trail or scrambler style exhaust, which, you know, back then they would do this because you could go through deep water. You wouldn't have the exhaust sitting so low. Plus, I mean, it looks cool, I guess. Coming around the back of the bike, of course, I've got my firewood here to demonstrate the capacious rear rack. Don't quote me on the actual carrying capacity of the rack, but, you know, I'm sure it's a Honda, so you can probably overload it quite a bit. So then you've got chain drive back here. You've got the heel toe shifter, so you can shift either back here or up here, and it's neutral is down, and then you have 4 up. Center stand, which is nice to have. You can see the engine. I mean, it's not much to show you on the tour. The switch gear is typical Honda, really nice and easy to use. The dashboard, it's kind of washed out in this lighting, but it's a LCD dash, and it's fine. I wish it was like more contrasty, but it has a fuel gauge, a speedometer, a little trip meter, odometer thing, and that's all you need. And then it's got some lights for the ABS and neutral and typical stuff like that. So nothing crazy up here, pretty simple. And you've got this high, this high bend tubular handlebar, which comes up and gives you a nice riding position. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you the fuel tank. So to get into the fuel tank on this bike, you have to put the key in, okay, right here. You put the key in, and then pop that, you'll hear it click. The seat opens up, and then your fuel filler is right here. So you'll take this off, and then you can get your gas, and then you've got a little tool thing under here. Close that, and you're fully fueled up, ready for the next, whatever, 150 miles on 1 gallon of gas, Let me kind of show you the riding position, what we've got happening here. So, you can see it's not really like a full step through design where you can step through this part, but I would call it a partial step through, because you see how low this is here. And I forget that I have that ability, so I'll show you how that kind of works. Which can be helpful if you have a bunch of stuff like, maybe firewood stacked up on the back so you don't swing your leg over the back. The bike, feels really light and low to the ground because it is. You've got the center stand, which comes standard, which is really, really nice. It's super easy to put it up on a center stand, as you can see. Really, really enjoy having that. And then in terms of, getting on the bike, that's how I typically mount a bike, right? But it's funny because you can kind of go like this and go through the step through part if you want, which is good if you have like, stuff on the back or whatever the case may be. The riding position is actually really comfortable. I mean, it's not a touring bike here, but you have a lot of leg room. The bars come up really high, so it's perfectly upright in terms of the riding position. Whoop, side stand there. Very, very comfortable, really. The seat is, pretty wide, pretty soft and cushy. It's comfortable. Of course, you don't have a passenger seat because you've got the rack, and this bike's not set up for the passenger, with this exhaust setup and everything like that. Another kind of feature you have on this is you have a kickstart, which I always forget about. So make sure the bike's in neutral. Then you can just kick it like that, you see, with the kickstarter right here. Really easy to do because it's a small engine. Kind of cool to have that. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Power, full power, unleash. 45, 50, 52, 53, 54. Come on, 55, no, 54, 55, 54. 55 miles an hour is about as good as you're going to do on flat ground with this little bike. Alright, usual performance testing area, we do like 0 to 70 to 0, 0 to 90 to 0 miles per hour. Trail 125, we probably need to adjust that a little bit for the 8 horsepower, of the engine. So let's do like 0 to I don't know, 45 to 0 and see how she does. Okay, starting out. Full power. Oh, a little bit slow to start out. Oh, now she's taking off. 27, 30, 32, 33, 34, 35. Come on, we're going to run out of runway here. Come on, please, 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 45, please. Come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Tuck down, tuck down, tuck down. Go, 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 go. We're going to run out of runway. 44. 44. Oh my God. 45, 45. Okay, all the way. Whoa, no rear ABS. Well, you know what? Actually, stop's not too bad. Stop's like almost a modern motorcycle. So there's no rear ABS, but you have front ABS. Smell the tire burning or something. Maybe that's the brakes. I don't know, but she's fine. She's fine. Okay, sport performance test. Going uphill for the Trail 125. Full power. Blistering acceleration. Woo, she's taking off. 23. 27, hold on. Steady. 32. Third gear, up, losing speed already. Hill's too steep, down to second gear. Come on.
Power and speed. I feel like I'm at the top of second gear now. We're bouncing along. If I go into third gear, no, she's bogging. She's bogging. She's bogging. Second gear. Come on. Come on, little bike. Oh, corner. Watch out. 32 miles an hour. Woo-wee! Woo-wee! Handling is good, very nimble. So off-roading on the Trail 125, it's all about just taking your time, exploring, chill out, go slow. You know, you don't have a lot of suspension travel, you don't have really big wheels and chunky tires. In a way, it's not an off-road bike by modern standards, right? I mean, 40 or 50 years ago, I guess maybe it was considered an off-road bike, but you just have to go slow and just relax. Don't override the bike. If you start to ride too fast, like, she'll start bouncing you. Whoa! She'll start bouncing you off the seat. And let me show you what happens if I try to ride like in the sand here, in this deep sand wash, even in first gear. So it'll just kind of get like, I mean, that's full throttle, and it just won't go. It just won't go. It just doesn't have the horsepower. But it's so small. It's so small and light that you can just kind of walk it out like this, right? And because you don't have to worry about a clutch, you just twist the power and go. But it doesn't really have the power to deal with the sand. But that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, about 30 miles an hour is good enough, because if you start to hit any bumps, you're going to tax the poor little suspension and the poor little tires too much. So just take it easy, and you're going to have a fun time just exploring, riding around camp, riding into town to get some groceries, cruising around the beach, you know, whatever. So it does have a lot of of useful purposes. And it really is a joy. It's a joy to ride, not because it's fast, but because it has personality, character, fun, charisma, you know, good looks, all of the feelings that this thing evokes. Whoa! you really get the bouncing. Something about the seat and the suspension is just really springy. Whoa! This is hilarious. All right, taking the 125 trail on some single track. You know, you can do most things that you want to do with this bike. Just ride within the limitations of it, you know. Because it's only 250 pounds and it's really low to the ground, it's pretty easy to manage in stuff like this as long as you go slow. You will eventually run out of ground clearance if you try to ride over big boulders, and also like really steep hills are very taxing for the clutch, and the first gear just isn't quite low enough for the super steep hills. But it's actually really enjoyable to ride this bike through these little single tracks like this. It's really fun. Just take your time, and you ride differently than you would than if you were on an enduro bike, of course. Just pick a good line. Don't smash into any big rocks if you can avoid it. Ah. Oh, steep hill. We got to get some momentum. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, made it, made it. Full throttle. Oh, we just barely made it. It's just a joy to be out here, just playing around, exploring, enjoying a beautiful day. The other nice thing about this bike is, see, when I start it, you can barely hear it, right? I mean, being quiet is a nice thing. You don't disturb other people that are out recreating. And, you know, if you were to go on trails that weren't technically motorcycle trails, not that I would ever do that, but if you did, you know, no one can really hear you, so that's good. You know, bikes like this, they make me feel young again because, like, when you grow up and you have all these nice bikes and every riding just becomes serious, you know, oh, we gotta do this big adventure ride, this big dual sport enduro ride, we're gonna get all our gear and we're gonna go to this specific place and follow a specific route on the GPS, and serious, and you got to take this seriously, and you know it's a big production. But like when I was a kid, you would just have so much joy just going out and being on two wheels and just riding around. No point, no destination, no agenda, no real timeline other than getting home before your parents got pissed off and wondered what the hell you were doing. But like I like bikes like this because they remind us that motorcycling doesn't always have to be this serious like thing that you go out and do, and it, you know, all the money and all of the gear, and you know, you have to ride all these fast bikes and stuff. And I love that part of motorcycling too, but I also appreciate like just moments like this, just out here playing around, finding these trails that go nowhere, and just putting around. It's just, and for some reason, a bike like this and other bikes like this make this kind of riding seem more okay. Because if I was out here on my, you know, enduro bike, I'd be like, okay, where's the single track? I got to go fast. I got to do all this. But on this, I don't care about any of that. I just don't care.
Final thoughts on Honda's Trail 125. You know, it's really tough to do a normal review on a bike like this because you buy this because this means something to you, because this evokes some emotion, some nostalgia. It's got a cool factor that is hard to quantify, right? And you don't really compare like the horsepower and the performance and the features and compared to other bikes and all that, because it's its own thing. And for me, what this bike has made me feel, and the time that Honda's let me borrow it, I have to take it back next week, is it takes me back to my childhood. And it's hard to put a price on that. Although, speaking of price, you know, the price is pretty high for what you get here, and I think we all know that. But for some people, you're gonna buy it anyway, because look at it. I mean, if it means something to you, then it's probably worth it. It's a Honda, so you're gonna have the resale value, you're gonna have the build quality, the reliability, the durability, and all that kind of stuff. It's a fantastic little motorcycle. I've really, really enjoyed it, even though it's limiting not being able to go, you know, really full highway speeds where I live. But it's still been an absolute blast to just go around my local trails, my local streets, you know, bop into town to do stuff, carry firewood around the ranch. I mean, it's a fun, cool motorcycle, and I think you should check it out. So if you have questions or comments, put that down below. Other than that, thank you for watching, ride safe, and I'll see you out there.